two, 1 2, 1 2, 1 2, 1 2, 1 2. One, two, 1 2.
I understand. I understand.
You're right, I'm right.
Mr. Williams, you didn't see what
I'm right.
so the orange color mic was over here. Carry it to the orange color mic.
Yeah, I got the link from, yeah. Yeah, man, I got it.
Audio check.
Check one. very pleasant good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I almost started to see my face on the camera, on the screen. A very pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Men on Mondays. And I have an exciting team of men, both on my right and my left. It's one of the few times that I would not complain of not having a rose among the thorns. But we are talking about real men. Yes, you are looking live and direct. Welcome to the first of this conversation. Real conversations, unscripted, unrehearsed, about what it means to be a real man. Kawanza Kunjufu wrote a book that I love entitled, Adam, Where Are You? And in essence, the book raised questions about the absence of men. It talks about a single eligible female looking for a good man. As a matter of fact, I remember the book because of a prayer in the book where the young lady in her prayer said, God, is it too much to ask for a BMW? And I thought it was a car when it was spelled out, a black man who is working. Is it too much to ask for a BMF, a black man who is faithful? And so I welcome you, whether you are a male or female. If you're looking for a good man, you may just get some ideas as to how to look and where to look. If you want to be a better man, if you are a youth that want to be grown and groomed and shaped into a good man, welcome to the conversation. In a little while, I'll explain to you who our guests are. I'll tell you a little more about them. But for now, shall we pray together? Our loving Father in heaven, we thank you that you made mankind in your own likeness. That when you made the world, you formed man from the dust of the ground. You gave him dominion. You gave him this capacity to love and to care for your creation, to groom and to bring forth after his own kind. He was shaped and formed and fashioned in your own likeness. And it was your divine intent that he should produce after his likeness, and he was in your likeness. We pray a blessing on our country and on the countries represented by all our viewers. We ask you to guide our deliberations for the glory of your name, and the betterment of manhood is our prayer in Jesus' name. And so to my extreme left, you heard that amen from a businessman by the name of, I call him Amos the prophet, okay? But we want to welcome Mr. Samuels to my extreme left, Dennis Samuels. We are brothers in name and almost in nature, but from two different mothers. And beside him is a face that you are familiar with. Yes, I don't even have to tell you who he is because Triple C is known, and just for the benefit of my two guests to my right, we have a mentorship program from whence the name Triple C came up. The three C's, choice, chance, and change. Making the choice to giving some youngster a chance to experience meaningful change in their lives. And so I go to my extreme right, and there is a gentleman that wears a big hat. He has a huge family. He has a huge responsibility. As a matter of fact, he is charged with grooming hundreds of young men. I speak of the principal of the St. James High School, the one and only, I love giving people a lot of names, but for this evening, I will just tell you Mr. Williams. But before we get done, I may add three other names to that. Mr. Joseph Williams, it is our joy to welcome you on set. And beside me, to my immediate right between the principal and myself, is a face that is well known in the Mount Salem community. As a matter of fact, he is integrally involved with a lot of young men and middle-aged men and older men. He is a politician in nature and a gentleman at heart and in practice. Mr. Kerry Thomas, welcome to the conversation. And online, all the way from cold Saskatchewan, the place where, if you are familiar with the singers in terms of the Voice of Prophecy group, then the Meloshenkos rather, is a name that you would be familiar with, and I think they hail from that section. And the gentleman on the screen hails from West Jamaica. He pastored here, he worked here. He's married to an attorney who assisted us tremendously. Now he is at the point of completing his second degree, as he's about now completing his master's in marriage and family therapy and counseling. It is my joy to welcome on set Pastor, Brother, Elder, Mr. Pastor Jason Edwards. It is good to hear you, and just so that the folk in Jamaica know that you still talk, can I hear you say good evening or hail up somebody in Jamaica?
Well, good evening to everyone. It's a delight. I'm happy to be here, and I say big up to you, Pastor, Mr. President. I'm good to be joining the team.
Thank you, sir. And it is an unrehearsed, unscripted conversation on what does it mean to be a real man. And I began by referencing a book by Kawanza Kunjufu. The book is entitled, Adam, Where Are You? And my little postscript said, he raised the question and sought to answer it. Why is it that even in the church, 75% of the members are female and 25% male? And then he looks at the American society and raised the question why most black men won't or don't go to church. There's a second book entitled, The Man That the Moment Demands, by your namesake, Jason. His last name is Wilson. And he said that in a world where misinformation distort the essence of manhood and societal expectations push men into emotional incarceration, the author offers a path to freedom. Rise and discover what it truly means to be a man. He offered under the thought, the man the moment demands, it seeks to empower you to become the right man in every moment by embodying what he calls the 10 characteristics of the comprehensive man. And he talks about the fighter, the provider, the leader, the lover, the nurturer, the gentleman, the friend, the husband, the father, the son. All of these are today challenged by norms in our society. What does it really mean to be a real man? Is it easier to repair broken men or to grow strong sons? And to start off, I'm going to ask Dennis a question. In your opinion, this is an unrehearsed and unscripted conversation. What does it really mean to be a real man?
Yes, to be a real man, one must understand that you're a male. That's
fascinating
that's
stuff.
one. Two, one should always seek to find out, where do you come from? Who made you? When we buy cars, the smart people always read the handbook. Man has a designer, and man should seek to explore his handbook. And for those who subscribe to the Bible, I happen to believe that in the creation story, so within the walls of the Bible, we'll find how man was created. And the Bible tells us that man was created in the image of God. So God would have had pretty good knowledge of how we are constructed for those who subscribe to the creation story. And I do subscribe to the creation story.
Thank you. We're gonna unpack that some more. But let me go to the man right beside you, so that most of the young men in our society are from homes where the struggle is real as to shaping sons. It is, I don't know how how authentic the stats may be, but it says that a little under 80% of the homes in Jamaica are headed by single parent, most of whom are females. What to you, what does it mean to be a real man?
Well, good evening to all the viewers and Mr. President. Answer to that question is this. Someone would have to stand up to all the responsibilities, because a real man always stand up to his responsibility. That's number one. And the reason why we have so many broken homes and have so many dominant female now, because men are not standing up to their responsibility.
Well, let me pause it there because you see, I love dominant females. So we'll get into that. I love dominant females. So let me just put that right out there I think it's going to be an exciting conversation. Mr. Williams, you had an institution where you have, I think, hundreds of students and a lot of young men. And I think fights on school campuses, be it primary school, secondary school, high school, university, is common. There is this view that if I'm a real man, I can't walk away from a fight. If a guy chuck badness to me, the real man going to stand up to it. In your view, what do you say to young men with that concept? What does it mean for you as the head of an institution, a male, a father, with a lot of youngsters without fathers? What does it mean to be a real man? And what do you say to a young man who wouldn't walk away from a fight because he feels he has to prove that he's a real man?
Well, very potent question. And I happen to be the principal for 21 years.
21 years at the same
at
institution?
this institution, yes. And I will retire from this institution.
Wow, wow.
And to know that each year, except since recently, I would have over 1,000 males.
1,000 males
Yes,
in
because
one
when we
high school?
Yes, it's always over 2,000.
And it is not an all-male school?
No, no. And so it's a family setting. That's what I put forward to them. Because this school was known for violence, murder, and all those things. Wow. And when I got there, I told them that I came on April 1 and I said, this is the day when no longer they will take you at St. James High for any fools. So we changed it. So, and I grappled with that concept because those who got into fights had drugs, weapons, and so forth. When I was to write them up to say, I need your father, most of them would say, sir, I don't have no father, sir. Then kill my father, sir. And I said, what? So you know what, this must have been inspiration from God because I don't remember getting any course at college or university which told me. So I said, okay, I'm the father for all 2,400 of you. Wow. So and I said from my family background, it's like disgrace if you live bad, so you ought not to fight.
Yes.
And it's a profound statement. I'm checking back. That's the main thing I think I've done. Just to say, I'm the father for all of you. And in my family, it's a disgrace for you to fight.
Profound.
No, that's a profound statement. You said something earlier. Before I come to Sir Kerry, yeah. You said that when you took over, issues leading even to murder was not unknown. There was violence. And just to give our viewers a perspective, where do most of the male students in your school come from?
I tell you, they are from 6 parishes. The school
6 parishes?
Yes, right now. We are down to 1,700 students, but they are from St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, part of St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, and even Discovery Bay in St. Anne. They come from.
As far as St. Anne?
Yes.
Now that is fascinating. And so you have 1,000 males on one single high school campus from 6 parishes, from different walks of life. We'll come right back to that. But let me ask Mr. Kerry Thomas, where do, what do you see as troubling now in terms of this image of manhood? You have been around, you're in the Mount Salem community, you are all around the place, you're all across Jamaica. What troubles you as you look on what is expressed as what it means to be a man?
Good evening, and thanks very much. And thank you, Pastor, for having me here on this panel. That question is very interesting, but very necessary in our country today, right? Different socioeconomic background, different communities, different pockets of people have different interpretation of who a real man is, right? And it is far from as simple as a man thinking that, listen, me have to give me woman money. If me not give me woman money, he might go find another man, right? As simple as
I
that.
thought you were going to say she's going to beat him up.
We don't reach here so yet. Right? And that is what some of the philosophies are the men who thinks that women are out there really as a commodity for them, and their money is what makes them go that way. And you can go back into the homes where it started from. They never really had a father figure to start with. They never have that dominance. So if we look at where we are today and we look at our 20-year-olds, right, and you look at their fathers who maybe are 40 now, but they are 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds are fathers, but they grew up without a father either. So their philosophy or their way of life or their way of going about things is completely different from us. So the socio-economic factors of the home and the environment in which that person grew up, that young man grew up, have varies significantly across even the same communities, and it influence and what they view things are. So my first approach to most of these is to tap into what their value systems are, to understand them better. And when you understand their value system, then I try to curve their value system to what would be more acceptable to balancing the equation between men, female, taking care of your child, having respect for everyone else around you. But it starts from me not trying to push down to them what I believe in, but understanding their value system, because one of the things we have to understand is a person's value system is built into how he operates, and sometimes that is coming from his childhood, it's coming from how his mother used to talk to him, it's coming from how his neighbor used to talk to him, it's coming from what he usually sees his brother, how his brother behave, his father behave, and that is what developed that. So when he reached 16, 17, 20, without any proper guidance, he would have developed a system based off the cycle of what he'd have seen around him.
Wow. So Dennis, Kerry just, he put on the table a number of things.
Yes.
Unpack this one for me, because in his closing section, he mentioned the fact that they would have been shaped by what they see around them. They would, their concept of manhood would have been determined, shaped, molded, fashioned by what they see around them. It could be from the Hollywood screen, it could be from the dancehall culture, or from the music they listen to. How do you think they can break that cycle?
First, before I answer that question, I'd like to tag on to his concept, which is real, because some men see having a gun as a man, some see me having my youth as a man, some see me having the latest lick as a man, some see me expressing myself as a tough and a rough man who knock you over as a man. But that's what has gotten us into real trouble, because the cars don't use that concept. The construct of our land outlay doesn't use that concept. They are organized. So the car utilizes the manual, determine how it is treated and how it is operated. So in order to have order, we must go back to the man who created man, to find the formula how man ought to operate, that man can truly live out. their expectation and represent who made them and represent who they are.
I like the concept as it relates to the manufacturing of vehicles, because if you really want your car to serve you for a long period, you're going to follow not your concept if you're not a mechanic, but you're going to follow the concept of the manufacturer.
Yes.
I want to go straight to Canada. I'm going all the way to Saskatchewan, and we have live on set and online. He's into marriage and family. He's in the studying arena. He's dealing with the research. Sir Jason, as you listen to the conversation, I want to ask you two questions in one. One, what is your concept of what it means to be a real man? And in your circles, particularly as you study in this marriage and family stuff, do you come across or are you interacting with homes and families where this issue is a challenge, the absence of a real father figure, or the demonstration of this yearning of wanting a role model and not finding any in the home circle? Over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I think in answering the question, the first point I would make is that for me, in my assessment, a real man is what I call a life promoting entity. A real man promotes life. If you think about it, biologically, the man carries seed. By virtue of being male, that was mentioned earlier, Elder Sam says, first thing is a male. So a real man is a life-promoting entity. He carries seed. He carries, in a sense, life in him. And he promotes life. When you look today, if you were to just give that a brief thought, you see masculinity promoting life in different permutations. So a man in the ghetto, he will promote life by maybe going to rob somebody, and he sees that. So you have men who are going about promoting life in almost a destructive way, but in their mindset, that is what is normal and healthy. And then you're going to look at, in a different context, and you look at our principal here. He's I call him a life promoting entity on a broader scale, not just limited to maybe his family, but he's into grooming other men. So when we think about it, the man was created, in my estimation, to promote life. And we are suffering today because that has been interrupted in several ways. But the worst form of it is when the man seeks to promote life in what is clearly a destructive way. So another quick thing, think about it. We are in the society, and in Jamaica we have the dance hall. Man must have girls in bundle. That's the dance hall song. But the Bible has shown us Solomon failed at that, the wisest man. And in our society, we are seeing where that is failing miserably. So when you look today, and I'm tying it to the life-promoting entity, when I assess, and from a biblical perspective, the man is only safe, Pastor, when, in the context of sexuality, man is only safe when he chooses to be safe, or he has lost his genitals, and we call him castrated. The man is only safe towards the woman. So men are not being empowered to be safe towards women, which is the most basic form of how man goes about promoting life. So then you can understand the crisis we are in, where man is irresponsible and reckless in the most basic form of life promotion.
Wow.
And then quickly to the second point, what is happening in the home? I will not have to go to the research, Pastor. When I left Jamaica, my boys were pretty young, but I have been at home for a few years. I call myself a stay-at-home dad for a period of my study. And what I have discovered, Pastor, I have two boys. Before I came to Jamaica, my caregiver said these boys are the sons of thunder. Because I give you a quick
Okay,
thing. One
Thunder.
time yes, call them the sons of thunder because very early as infants they were showing a certain kind of temperament. One day the caregiver said to me, I was living right in Grangeville there, and the caregiver said to me, Pastor, talk to the older one then. And the boy don't want to go sleep, he's in his crib. And he's almost giving the caregiver a hard time. So I came in the room, talked to him, he lie down. And by the time I step out of the room, Pastor, he was round 2 or so. The boy get up and start to push out his tongue at the nanny and dancing around in the crib. And by the time I step back in the room, oh my God, he was so frightened. At 2, over the period, he's now 10. Over the period I have been at home, I realize there are things in our children, there are character traits that if there is not a man there with firmness and that spirit of love to shape them, our children, and I'm talking to us now as men who are in a very positive form of life promotion, our children will go astray because they need grooming, they need challenge, they need constant direction.
Thank you on that.
To become that instrument of life promotion.
And I am tickled by the fact that your son at 2 was demonstrating that kind of sons of thunder attitude, and also the critical point that the conversation is revealing is the vital presence of a wholesome father figure.
Yeah.
John Maxwell has written quite a number of books on leadership. And he wrote a book entitled Developing the Leader Within You. And in the opening chapters is a story that he wrote from the perspective of the very point you're making. It says, a careful man I want to be. There is a lad who's following me. Whatever he sees me do, he tries. That little lad who's following me. Now, if you were really Father Thunder, you could see exactly what the sons of thunder would come out to be like. And his sons would be sons of thunder. And you would end up in a community of thunderous sons. Now, let me come to Milton, and I'll come back to principle. And Milton doesn't mind me saying it because it's a known fact. So Milton can speak to the challenges. He was incarcerated. He had a kind of past. Now, in the book by Wilson, Jason Wilson, there's a statement: unpack the impact of your past and unlock the power to shape your future. Unpack the impact of your past and unlock the power to shape your future. A question to you: when you were released, what made you change your behavior pattern so that you didn't do the same things that could land you back where you're coming from? We're talking about unpack the impact of your past. How did you unpack that?
Well, first and foremost, we'll have to put God first. Because without God, without Christ, you can't do nothing on your own.
Yeah, but when you were incarcerated, were you incarcerated as a Christian?
I'm getting there now, Mr. President. When I was incarcerated, I was not a Christian. That means I was doing the things that I thought was right at that time. Why? Because the persons around, that's why I said a real man stand up to responsibility. And it go and boil all the way back down to it. So when I was incarcerated, all the negativity, the negativeness was going on around me. It becomes norm. So I felt like this was the thing to do. Why? Everyone else was doing it. So if I wasn't doing it, then I would have feel left out.
Okay, you wouldn't be a man.
I wouldn't be a man. So that's what's going on now in our society today, that these young men are learning from the older folks, are learning from the older guys. I mean, a young youth grow up, you see a older guy scamming, driving a nice car, have a nice house, maybe have a nice girl, and he desire this type of life. So the things that's going on around him, it becomes norm. He want all these things, he desire for these things. So when I'm in prison, I feel like if I'm soft, well, people would have walked over me. And that's something never gonna happen.
Okay.
If I'm soft, that means I'm not a real man. Real men stand up for what they believe in. I didn't have
So tell me, were there fights in prison and stuff like that?
There was a lot of fight. I mean, I get hit in my head like about 4 times. I got 15 stitches.
That's
Right now on the
that's why
top
your
of
head
my
has so many corners in it? I'm just
I got like 15 stitches, but saying that, I don't stop a dude like about 5 times in his neck. Thought I wasn't going to get out of prison because stop this dude, they was trying to give me a charge for it. And our mind is so unique and clever that I realized if I act like I'm crazy, then they can't charge me. So I was act like I was incompetent. So I'm telling them I want to kill myself. They don't believe it. I get a sheet, they still don't believe it. But I get some pills. When I take it, then they believe it. I didn't want to kill myself, but I did took some pill. Sorry that I took it, but then my action would have shown them that I meant what I said. So me taking these pills, these person in the prison, they be like, wow.
Let me ask you a question because we are time constrained.
Yeah.
The unpacking the impact of your past, did the change happen after you were released or did the change begin before you were released?
The change begin before I release. And this how the change begin. Because you do something till you have enough. It's like a person eating chicken and you feel like you have enough of that. So you want to try something else. Every time I get in trouble, they would have placed me inside of a hole. And I would have realized I lose all my privilege. I can't go to the commissary. I can't watch the TV. I can't use the telephone. So they was breaking me mentally. It was affecting me, not physically. Because I would have realized now sometime I would like get on the phone, I'd like to call my mom, I'd like to call my girl, and all these privilege was now
Told
gone.
the boss, you in prison have a girl?
Not in prison, my girl was on the street, Mr. President.
So I'm saying that you are in prison. You are in prison and your girl is outside. So boss, how you maintain the relationship with the girl outside when you are locked up inside?
Well, before you go to prison, you would have someone and you would have said, well, this is your girl. And you would have still have that mindset. Mm-hmm. During your time, you would have still claimed that person to be your individual person.
How long were you in the prison for?
Well, I was in prison 15 years. My girl left when I first got sentenced. I mean, probably my first year in prison, she probably felt like, okay, this dude get 15 years, he ain't getting out. She ain't.
So let me ask you a question now. Now, the song ever come to your mind? Oh yo, nigga man a trouble, but I still love.
Whoa! But this is how I realize that when we do things that is negative, it have an effect on us, not just physical, but spiritual, mental, and emotional.
All right, I can come back to you. I'm going to go to principal. Like to You're going to pick up? Okay.
Pick up.
I'll come to principal.
Real man should learn to think things through, to process the information that they see. Because if you commit yourself and get incarcerated, you actually lose control, your freedom. So let's say Milton has his girl now. You really can't have any control or any management over your girl in prison or whatever you have. So in processing the information and the surrounding, part of that construct is to do everything you can to maintain your independence and to maintain your freedom. So if you're a real man, two great priorities is to make sure you maintain your independence and you maintain your freedom. If you surrender those, then you're really in trouble. They're castrating you literally. So everything must be done to become empowered, independent, and to maintain your freedom. And if you watch what others do around you, I'm afraid if you're in the wrong space, you're not going to be able to do that.
Principal Williams, you mentioned in your introductory remarks the kind of social climate that surrounded the school, the stigma, if you will, that was attached to it. How did you help them? You mentioned the use of a statement that it's a family, and as of today, that won't be tolerated. I'm sure that it took more than just a statement to help them. So the statement we're trying to deal with here, unpack the impact of the past and unlock the power to shape their future. How did you help them? What was it like shaping their future, putting them on a different railroad line, if you will?
Well, not exactly as what happened to Milton, but in a similar situation. As when I got to this school, the students were saying, "Sir, everything bad about the school, they put it in the media." So they wanted the change. The students wanted the change. There were staff who wanted the change because they suffered like from robberies. There are some stories, students would take away purse and money from staff and so forth, and the bloodshed, and those who had to, who got the shocking experience of seeing a student dead and so forth and so forth. So I said this in the interview when I was applying for the job, that I was asked, what is it I'm going to bring to the school to make a difference, because the school is under attack. So I said, in the force, because I went to join the force. My family, they were against it. So I said, in the force, when you come under fire, you call for backup. So I said, the first backup I'll call for is the church. So at St. James, every Monday morning, we begin with God. So that's going back to I'm glad you opened with that, gentleman, the manual. God. It's God who have made us and not we ourselves. I believe that. So I came with that. That's where I come from, my background. So I came with that. So I asked the church. And that's why I'm here this afternoon, because of one of your elders. She has joined it, brought in your church. So you have not only come with the word, but you come with money, because you have a lot of resources. So that was brought in to help those who are needy, right? And as an example, as a father, I stood as an example as a man. Okay. Right. So you would be punished, not put in a hole, but if you ever fight. But if you cannot read and you don't have father with support, uniform is there, food is there, all those things. Just recently we have even a week of prayer. Every year now we have a week of prayer. And thank God for the Adventists, you have so much money. We get even porridge and all those things. Those who come without breakfast, they get it there. And the teachers are there for them. And the father is there. They call me, I'm Father Joe. And the other men, they are uncles and so. So and that's what we did. We care, just to show that you care.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you ever faced with a situation where, like, knives and stuff come to school, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, no, those were confiscated. There was a situation earlier, if you're caught like with gun, and if you drew blood, this was my law. If you drew blood, you can't come back to the school. Okay. And then now we are in a setting you want to be in school. If you draw blood, maybe if you fist this man, you get a 2-day suspension. But even suspension,
you mean if they fist a politician, only get 2 days?
Yes, but he's your brother or sister. So, but even that, I found that when I suspend you for 5 days, you miss out too many classes. So you have to do community service right there. Okay. I'm the father, maybe not of thunder, but what I'm saying, No, I'm going to deal with you right there at school. And you must get back in, because the motto, the I came and saw motto, which says towards better living. So whatever we do must be
Towards
towards
better living.
making you better.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Kerry, you are around a lot of young men in, I think, the first Zozo. Talk with us about your encounter in this surrounding vicinity. Did you encounter homes without role models? I'm sure one of the things I like is the social engagement with the young men. What led you to do that? What did you discover in the society as you relate and interact with all of those? What is it that you're trying to do?
Yeah, boy. As I mentioned earlier about the socio-economic environment and the environments around, right? I'll start off by saying, as each one mentioned, I mentioned it before, I think 2 years ago, as you know, schools have this, about this time of the year, they have their career day, when different children wear whatever thing they want to be to represent that career. And I remember a social media video that goes around when they interviewed a little boy, no more than about 8. And they said, what do you want to be? I want to be a scammer.
Wow.
And everybody laughed about it and find it as a big joke, because well-educated people or people outside a certain environment would not view that as a profession. But here we are with a young boy at age 7, 8, who, based on what he sees around him, believes scamming is a legitimate profession. So what do you want to be? A scammer. That, coupled with so many other things, is what formulate their thought processes. And in terms of fatherhood, and we mentioned it in the beginning, maybe to be a man, you have to have your youth. So by the time you're 21 and 22, if you don't have a youth, you're gelding. So when Father's Day come around in some of these communities, that becomes a major issue, because you have the gelding truck coming for the geldings. It may be done in jest, but it has psychological and mental impact on young people. So many of the kids grew up without fathers, because, as you said, maybe owning a gun, owning a car, and no value system is different for there. The reality is our communities need leadership. We are in a community or a society now where you see the wrong happening, and the wrong may not be anything major. It may be a simple thing, like I was at a funeral on Sunday and a child come up to her and say she's hungry. And to cuss her off and tell her to go sit down. Child was obviously embarrassed and walk away. So I called the little girl and said, what is your problem? And talk to her. And I called the mommy and talked to the mother and the child at the same time and said, no, attend to her. No, assuming I never get involved in that situation, that child would have walked away disgruntled, and in our community where that child become vulnerable now, because somebody else can fill that gap in whatever way that they see necessary all the time. And those little stories or those little circumstances is what mounts and mounts and mounts to build that mental position that they are. You mentioned zones of special operation in Mount Salem. It's there since 2017. And I would say in 2017, the guys who were giving problems were 20, 21, 22, for the sake of it, 19. There were some little kids in high school at that time, what we're talking about 7 years now, who were 10, 11.
There are no 18.
There are no 18, 19. The guys who are still giving trouble are 19, 20, 21. And what we have to understand is that if we create an environment and we bring in certain forces, bring in certain measures, we also have to think about that transition of those measures. So in order for us to start changing our community, changing men to become real men, and changing men to view from the manual what truly is manlyhood, and that a gun or a robbing or a stealing or whatever is not manly, is that it's going to be a responsibility of all of us. It's all of us from the little things. If we remember the broken window story scenario, if there's a building over here with all the windows broken out, somebody's going to always throw a stone at it.
Because they see.
Because it's that way. But if every time somebody throws a stone, we fix it back and we try to correct it, after a while,
it
will lessen the throw throwing. And that is why to mend our society, to create more accountability among men, to create more responsibleness towards positive growth in our society among men. It will be all of us. And it will start from correcting those little teeny things there. If you correct the small things,
the big ones will fall in place.
The big one gradually falls into place.
Let me go to Father Thunder, because Father Thunder began by steering young son of Thunder in a new direction. I hope now we have lightning enlightenment. Father Thunder, now you've earned a nickname from me this evening. Sir Edwards, as you listen to Mr. Carey, as he talks about that incident with the parent and the young child, and how the conversation is going to take all of us together to shape a better future. Talk with us a little bit in your interaction, in counseling, in marriage and family therapy. What role does a solid home play in the shaping of better men?
I would just quickly add, Mr. President, that the home is the last bastion of the warfare. So when we think about it, we commend our principal here for what he's doing. But how many schools are taking on the fight frontally, and in his case, targeting boys? Because we talk about leadership. Men were created to give leadership. So the home is going to be the most, in my estimation, the most critical place, because if once the home collapses, it's done. And we are seeing the results now. So it's really about what can we salvage. The church has been there, and the church was reinforcing the home, or reinforcing the messages that were carried in the home. And when the church was at its best, when the home failed because of the authority the church had, people respected the church, then the church was filling the gap in the home. The schools at one time was reinforcing what was being done in the home, and when the home failed, I had a friend, I have a peer, we went to high school in Herbert Morrison, and he teaches in England, has been teaching for years, has risen up in the ranks as a senior person, principal. And he said he has had situations where a child is in his class, not doing well in the home, and the child is so responsive to him. And the parents are aware of it, that when the child is acting up at home, the parents are calling him. So I'm just using that to emphasize that the home is a critical place. And when the home fails, other places can help. But we are seeing a thing in the society now where the church is not carrying the same power or authority it used to. It's not getting the same respect. The schools are not necessarily getting it. We are thankful for the witness of, again, what's happening at the high school there, especially for those of us from St. James who are aware of what it was, how things were. So we know what's possible when the reins are tightened and when someone commits to giving leadership. I am saying any home can change its trajectory. Every home, because it's the smallest, in my evaluation of the subject, is the smallest place of governance, and it can easily get intervention and turn things around. And sometimes it does not necessarily need intervention. If a father who was slacking up or a mother who was slacking up depending especially on the age of the children, say, all right, it's not business as usual. You can turn things around in short time. So the home, it's vital, and what we're gonna salvage out of society now, it's going to be homes changing direction, or the same governance that is necessary to be exercised in the home. Anywhere that governance is being exercised, care, love, discipline, accountability,
Wow.
we can see a change in the trajectory of behavior.
Thank you. And before I go to Sam, I want to come back to principle because I am still old school, and I am rooted in the concept that the society stands really on three legs: the home, the school, and the church. My brother-in-law would say, home forms you, school informs you, and in church, God transforms you. He said, home forms you, school informs you, and through the church, God transforms you. So, principle, as we talk about unlocking the power to shape a new direction, you've heard from Mr. Thomas, you've heard from Jason all the way in Saskatchewan on the issue of, and you yourself mentioned, leadership. St. James High has earned the respect of persons like my friend all the way in Saskatchewan, though he wasn't a student there, he was a student at another high school, that would look across and would see St. James High with a certain stigma. But that has been transformed. As we talk about shaping a new direction for manhood, what would you say is the greatest challenge you see as the head of an institution with 1,000 young men? What is the greatest challenge in helping to shape a new direction, producing better men?
Doing at school, it can be augmented by what he's doing up by Mount Salem. And in the church, for example, I was pointing out to a young pastor friend, I said, look here, do you notice when you come on a Monday morning, because I have a different denomination for each Monday, first in each month, first Monday, second Monday, third Monday, fourth. So I bring in the church. Right, and you just mentioned that it transformed. So we needed the transformation. And I was saying to this young pastor, I said, you see the responsibility you have? And your pastor Mary and Ayman, they have come there. I don't know if when you have convention, you would have seen so many hundred young people before you, like what they see when they come to St. James. It's a shift school, you know. But you have over 1,000. When it was over 2,000, you would have 2,400. One time it went up to 2,557.
Wow.
So you have over 1,200 on each shift. And when you take out the latecomers, you could have over 1,000 youngsters before you get in the word. I call it wisdom class, because the word that is given in the morning to set the tone, that is what, you teach me, it is what is going to help to transform. Because what I asked them at school, a number of occasions after the devotion, after the pastor would have given the word, and I said, students who are in church, don't tell any lie. Raise your right hand, those who were in Sabbath school on Sunday. And I'm looking at how many hundreds, you might see 25 hands. And when I say, okay, those of you who were in Sunday school yesterday, raise your right hand, maybe 40. So you don't get 70 out of 700. But right there you have 700. That's why we bring in the church. It's the support. So if you can get the support at home, even if it's lacking at home, but you catch up in school and it's supported out in the society, like the politician. And if the businessmen can come in with some food
Well, you have two
and so
right
forth.
here.
Right. That's how we work together.
Okay.
It takes a community to do it. Because even the parents who are not doing it at home, when they come to, you'll get them to come to school and you tell them what is being done. Gentleman just alluded to it. A child giving problem at home and is calling the teacher to put the child in order. There are some cases, mother would come and say, oh, the father not supporting the child. And I'm just asking for the name of the father. And they telling me that story. I say, me no business with that. And I would say, child, look at this. I need the number for your father and tell him that I need him at school. Oh, the mother is there. Oh, he's not going to come. So I say, no. I said, girl or boy, look at this. When your mother and father were about to get you, no breeze could pass between the two of them. So right now, I want the father. There are so many cases. Fathers who they say wouldn't come. When I get the number, them coming. So it's just like how you would see. You have to be firm. You have to be firm in what you believe in. Because what you find now, look at how many gangs you hear about in Jamaica. Who is leading these gangs? Is women?
Most of, and you
It's men.
Yes.
So
most
these
of the
boys,
gangs
they gravitate, go and follow these gangs. In school, we are trying to build the men. We don't know what we can salvage from what is out there, but in school,
on the
you
ones
need
you
to
have.
build.
Indeed,
Yes,
indeed.
build what you have
And
going
I
forward.
like the direction, and as Samuel said, and Kerry also, everything stands or falls based on the quality of leadership or the lack thereof. And commendations to you, Sir Principal. Let me come to Milton. Now, it is said many times that prison is supposed to be a correctional institution, a place where behavior. But I'm not sure if so let me hear from somebody who has the experience on both sides. As you reflect on your 15 years being incarcerated, tell me what kind of change was produced behind bars?
Well, a person have to want change. They said prison is there to rehabilitate you, but sometimes prison brings out the worst in you. And why I say that is the inhumane treatment that sometimes you get in prison.
So let me hurry up and say that most of his incarceration was not in Jamaican prison. Let me put that right out there.
But I'd like to say something that create a lot of these problems because myself would have went through it. One, you have teenager having babies. Two, they are uneducated, which is one. They don't even know to take care of themselves, or you go and take care of a child. Three, sometimes you go to school and the teacher would have escalated the negativeness that's already going through your mind. Because I've been through many schools to do motivational speak and make presentation. And I've seen kids that don't have no father, go to school, might be late, and they are saying something. Teacher like, boy, get over there, shut up. These type of treatment only make a child act rude. And this is what I want to say. So everyone that watching this program right now, I would like for you to contain, retain, and maintain this information. Kids, we all was child before we become a grown man. One, kids youth that grow up in the garrison, we strive for power. And the reason for that, sometimes we come from broken home. We would have seen our family members would have been mistreated through gang members or through other source. And we grow up with this feeling that one day we will get revenge for it. So you see a lot of guys join gang for it. One, power. When you have a body of people around you, people can't just run over you just like that. So that is one thing that creating problem within our society. Two, school have a big role to play. Some teachers would take the time out to teach the children. Every student don't learn on the same pace. You might say something and a student get it at once, and there might be another student you have to tell them 100 times for that student to really understood what you are saying. So I'm telling you this. When I was growing up in my time of giving trouble before I find Christ, and the Lord would have changed me to become a better version of myself. Because when I'm in prison, I just want to be a badness. The reason why I want to do badness, I get gunshot 3 times, 2 times in my face, then send me to prison 15 years. So I already have this hatred within me already for the people and the system. So I go to prison now, I just want to take it out and unleash it on somebody else. So there is someone now don't even know what I'm going through. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Me, I think about my girl, nice and sexy, out there in somebody else's arms. Me, I think about men I sell drugs, make me look money. No, me not have my money again. Then put me in a 9x6 cell. Me have to sit down beside a one man when he pass gas, me have to smell it. I want to sleep, he might make nice, and all these things. So prison sometime, it really reconstructs your mind.
So let me pause and say, listen, if you have a nice girl, you better make sure, say you don't go to prison because if you're gone to prison, the angel in your arms this morning, go back. But before, I'm going to jump right in here. No, Sir Dennis. I look at the clock and I see right up there. But tell me, a number of youngsters, young men, in trying to break the cycle, trying to unpack the impact of their past, trying to reshape their future, they have a problem because most business places are going to look at them and say, listen, I can't give you a job in a boss because A, based on where you come from, based on where you live. B, you have a record. C, dress so wholesome. How or what can change the mindset of, because business persons, they are looking at protecting their businesses.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I'll share something. You probably don't know this. I used to play football. I used to be a defender, a wing back. And the defensive coach taught me there were 3 rules to defending that he taught me. He said, 1, keep your eye on the ball. So whether the man is skipping over the ball and moving his body, keep your eyes on the ball. As a real man, you must work out what your giftings are, what your strengths are, what you want to be, and how you're going to work out to get to where you want to go. So you need to develop a system of belief and keep your eyes on that system of belief. Then the next rule, Pastor, they taught us to always have the attacker on the outside. Whatever you do, try not to allow him to cut inside. So keep your eyes on the ball. Don't allow him to get on the inside. And then the third rule was to stay on your feet. Stay on your feet.
Unpack that for me, because let me
unpack it for you. So the youth and the ghetto must work out what they want, a good system of belief, which will give them respectability and give them mobility, that they can be their own bosses or apply for where they want to work. And they will have the necessary moral background or skill or education to get through. And then they need to resist evil, to keep evil on the outside. And thirdly, to stand up and be counted. When I drive up my Benz, or I drive up my Lada to the gas station, we are to the mechanic. The mechanic is fixing the vehicle based on the specification of the vehicle. So you'll have 10 vehicles in the garage, and the mechanic goes to the handbook and take out the handbook and administer the care to the car based on the handbook.
Okay.
And we must work out as a country. We must work out as a country that we will have chaos if we do not consult the handbook and we don't keep in touch with the maker of the car. The maker of man is God, and man must be priests in their homes. There must be protectors in their homes. There must be providers in their homes. And when you are priests, you protect, you provide, it gives you presence and it gives you respect. The man said his 2-year-old son
Was
could differentiate between a
behavior.
female and a male
And
related as such.
Indeed. You mentioned, you were talking some stuff that the book, The Man the Moment Demands, seeks to empower you to become the right man in every moment. And he talks about what he calls the 10 characteristics of the comprehensive man: the fighter, the provider, the leader, the lover, the nurturer, the gentleman, the friend, the husband, the father, the son.
Time to add the priest.
As the priest. As we, and certainly this is just the introductory conversation. And I'll come to each of the panelists, including Father of Thunder, for your concluding statement. But let me say this. It's going to take courage from all of us. Let me tell you why. I read the book, The Cross and the Switchblade. The preacher was in a troubled neighborhood. The guys in the Switchblade gang, they came to rob the offering. The preacher's courage made him identify the leader and ask him to select from his guys a team to collect the offering. What me say?
Yes.
The gang came to the crusade to rob the offering. The courage of the preacher, not just courage, but his God-given foresight. It was risky because they could collect it and run with it, which is what they came to do, but they came to take it by force. As I said that, there was a statement from a reverend gentleman, come here if we take it by force. So they came to take the offering by force. He asked the gang leader, and the book is still available, The Cross and the Switchblade. It led to the gang being converted because the guys collected the offering and they looked at the leader because now it was an opportunity to move with it. And he said, no, they're testing me. They're testing us. We are going to prove them wrong. And he took the offering down front. I got a businessman in Montego Bay, and I can call his name, Ashley Shakes. I'll try to have him on next week. When the company, Jekyll, I think it is, yes. And so I looked at guys from the troubled neighborhood, from Salem from Granville going all the way back to Flankers. Somebody has to take a chance with some of them in order to help them believe in themselves. You're going to win some and lose some. So he got a job to wash the buses and cars. Him not have no license. Drive one of the bus out of the road. Turn it down towards the airport road. Almost mash up the man. It's just the Lord save him. And Shakes called me. I'm telling you, it takes courage. And at some point, a belief in them that they might not have in themselves. He took him back, you know. Costas Corodas is dead, but let me tell you now. So, we got some youngsters, and he took one to handle his gardening stuff. You know, Corodas has 2 vehicles most times. One is left at home. And so the neighbor would discover that most days, an hour after Costas and his wife left for their business downtown, at that time they had the car sales and hardware and stuff, one of the vehicles would be seen going out and, and coming back with company. So the good neighbor called Mr. Coronas. You know, he has the garage, the remote garage. So he drove in, parked the vehicle inside, and he pulled down the shutter. He's upstairs looking out to see when Mr. Owner of the next vehicle. So it didn't take him long because now Mr. Owner has to time between morning when the family leave and I'm not sure if they're coming home lunchtime, so he has to do his stuff between 10 and 11:30 or 12. And he is coming, his remote, you know what I'm saying, press his remote, open the gate, coming to the gate, press his garage remote, and he is driving in. So it is after he got in, he discovered that he never leave any car on the other side, but a car is there. And each time I remember the story, I chuckle to myself because the issue of shaping our youngsters, taking a mindset from where it's at and providing a new direction is risky business. But we have to believe in them. And even with that belief, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen says, there's nothing wrong with Jamaica that cannot be fixed with what is right with Jamaica.
I'd like to share something with you, Pastor. I have a pharmacy for 25 years now. The back of the pharmacy is on Hart Street. And Agate Lane is up the road and Barracks Road is down the road. Can I tell you that they have never robbed that pharmacy? They have never robbed me. I'm there 29 years and I go there on godly hours, anytime. I happen to leave my lab open up for 2 weeks and then don't go in there.
What do you think is the reason for that?
If you show regard for the average man, he knows when you regard him. And if you who he respects as a man of authority and a man of influence or a man of money shows him genuine regard, then your life becomes valuable. Your possession becomes valuable. But if you treat him, and one of the interesting things among some of us who are moneyed or bright or lettered, sometimes we don't know that the average man knows when we regard them. If you regard the average man, you don't need a gun.
In other words, the respect begets respect.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to invest trust in them,
Yes.
to get them to deposit trust in the society.
Have you ever noticed that they don't kill the priest who lives in the ghetto? There's
Okay.
only one time 2 priests died downtown and it was scattershot. Why they don't kill the priest?
Let me say something.
Because of the involvement. And I see my producer standing there and indicating that our time is gone. But I really want to give each of our panelists the 30 seconds. We really have to pick up section 2. And we do have some of the guests who will join us next week because we have to get into this whole issue of relationships. And I think it was mentioned in terms of the homes and stuff. Milton mentioned it, and the principal mentioned it, and Mr. Kerry Thomas, the politician, mentioned it. You yourself mentioned it, because we can't escape it. And sometimes it is the very mindset that is not corrected at the point when bondings are established, relationships are formed, that we need to speak to this change that we see. But let me go full circle. Principal, then I'll come to Mr. Kerry, then I'll go to Father Thunder, and then I'll come back to Lightning here on set. If you have a final 30 seconds to make a statement that in your best judgment can begin the change process of shaping better men, what would your final statement be?
My final statement is for us to go to the manual, the Bible, and to follow the instruction as given, just like we follow instruction in a manual from the manufacturer.
Awesome. The politician.
Oh, well, based on all we have seen, heard, the truth is it will take all of us. And how we'll do it, start from the little things. Start to show respect, start to communicate. Don't turn a blind eye. But bit by bit, brick by brick, we will break the bondage. We will unravel the negative and turn it into positive and transform the people. All of them out there, they are just looking for leadership. Whether they're in a gang, whether they're in church, they're just looking for leadership. And we who knows and those who want to see a positive Jamaica should take on that role. In the middle, wherever you are, go in the community, go in their places, go in where they recreate, have a conversation. That's all it talks. I mean, we have an hour here and we are gone almost an hour and 15 minutes because once the conversation starts, then we start to unlock their mind. Just like how it unlocked this panel. And we can do another hour easily.
Indeed.
So start the conversation with them and it will make a difference.
Thank you so much. And we go across the waters to Saskatchewan in Canada.
So, Mr. President, it's a collective effort, and for me now, the church has made its intention clear. We have a life-promoting goal connected to the divine. The school is into education, and wherever certain principles are executed, the school is still proving itself. Even with the challenges in politics, we see credible politicians, some of them are still there, and so we need that. When you look at somebody like Triple C, he is a testament to, it doesn't matter how low you have sunken, we can rise up. We know the role that the private sector through business and so on can play. One piece I think is missing, Mr. President, and that's the piece that I am promoting wholesale. The piece of working, supporting men who are leaders to find healing. A lot of men who have led, they have struggled, whether in private or stuff, and what it has done, it has damaged male leadership because it's almost like it's an argument to say men are not credible. And the truth is, men struggle, but men need help. So I am here representing the healing element that is necessary. As a president, you are there. You carry a big work. Who is the person who supports you? Somebody said for success, we need 3 persons: mentor, coach, and sponsor. A lot of our leaders today, male leaders, strong male leaders, we don't have that. If there's going to be longevity in incredible male leadership, males have to make commitment to find healing, to make themselves accountable to other credible men, and then we are going to see some powerful changes because male leadership will be sustained and the work will be there for everyone to see.
Thank you so much. And with that, I know you'll have no more Sons of Thunder. So you can start filling, tell Fonika I said, start filling the crib again because now Son of Thunder is now at an age to be a coach. Thank you. Sir Triple C, your final statement. If you were to look in the camera and speak to the issue as to what will it take to bring about a change in the current trajectory as we see being demonstrated, a model of manhood that we all want to change?
Can't but keep it real, Mr. President. And this time I got to tell you in a patois. Online, President, maybe I have to break it down for you, but and all the while I have to go in English. So I'm going to tell you this like how it is. As the Bible said, train up a child in the way he should grow, and when he get big, he won't depart from it. And all the business people that have on a business, when the youth them come from the garrison, stop stereotype them, stop being stereotypical and say, oh, you come from Glen, I be a gunman, come from this. You come from South Spring, I be a gunman, I be a thief. And you not give you no job. You only set if you becomes robber and becomes thief, and you see him one, I got to pay the consequence.
Wow. Before I go to Sir Dennis, So in the chat, Yvette Hall says, a very good program. Well done, gentlemen. Another person, Beckford says, very interesting program. Somebody else said men need help, and I think they were responding to Jason's perspective. Our men, brother, just a positive leadership. Dennis.
In closing, I'd like to say that the Bible, one of my favorite texts, is Proverbs 16:32. Say, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit. He that ruleth his spirit is stronger than he that taketh a city. What that means is that to maintain your emotional control, you're better than a mighty man, a strong man. To rule your spirit, you're more powerful than the Don who run the city. I was talking to a friend of mine that the Don in Spanish Town died. And so the whole Spanish Town is uproar. And I said it would appear that the Dons never learn. Because when you take on the role of a Don, you must die. And history has taught us that Dons die. And Solomon says that a maga dog is better than a dead lion. So the men must choose whether you want to be a dead lion
Or a living dog.
or a living dog. And we come on, man. We must work out the maths. We must work out the maths. Real bad man don't go to prison. Real bad man maintain control over their emotions and their actions. That they will avoid going to prison.
Yes.
And avoid police shooting them like a bird.
Thank you. I got the wrap-up signal a long time ago, but I can't resist this. I was told that a man does not mind being called a dog as long as you call him a big dog. and a big living dog is better than a dead lion. So gentlemen, listen, I enjoy the conversation, and yet this is just the preliminary. I hope you can come back next week, although we will be having Dr. Alonzo Smith from the New York area, clinical psychologist, a great pastor, a family counselor, will join us in the conversation. We'll be having someone else from Washington, along with, if you gentlemen would be kind enough to come back. I think that we are just touching the surface of the conversation. And also, we want to have somebody else. Now, you know, I was born mischievous, so that there's one man on the set, I will not call his name. His microphone had a different color, and to represent his stance, he exchanged a microphone with somebody else so that the color of the mic in his hand represents who he is. I'd love to see a color of a mic with a different color balancing the equation. So let me say it clearly here that we did try, but didn't get the other person, others to come. So I am just. So I'm just saying that I didn't call the color, but I'd love to see two opposite colors and the voice speaking from both sides. But I want to say that someone said that your behavior is not a function of your condition, but an outgrowth of your decision. May I say to young men in this initial conversation you're watching, or maybe parents, whether you are a single mother or single father, there are many young men who grew up with single mothers, poor from rundown communities, who are outstanding building blocks of society. I had a funeral service where we were burying the patriarch of Rock Spring, Elder Forbes, Royd L. Forbes, a man with profound intellect. He served as principal for years in the Upper Rock Spring area, impacted many lives. And at his funeral service, I saw the Chief Justice of the Cayman Islands, and I was stunned to discover that that's where he was brought up. That's where he was brought up. Your behavior, young men, grown men, is not a function of your surroundings. It's an out here. Listen to me carefully. You cannot continue to blame your environment for your behavior. For many have come up out of the same place with a different concept, a different mindset. You owe it to yourself to develop and produce a better version of yourself. Society does not owe you a living. You owe it to yourself. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if a man can write a better book and build a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he lives in the wilderness, the world will make a beaten path to his door. There are glowing examples all around us. And I want to challenge irresponsible fathers. Man up. Stand up to your responsibility. Let's join hands and hearts together as we build a better nation. It is easier to grow strong sons than to repair broken men. But even broken men can be repaired if they have the mindset to walk in a new direction. I enjoy the conversation. This is the preliminary conversation on Man on Mondays, Men on Mondays, the unrehearsed, unscripted conversation. Thank you for being our company online. And we'll share the word, and we'll see you next week, Monday at 6 o'clock, where the conversation will continue. And I'm going to ask them to put a bar stool, put a table before me here. And I'm on the stool. But it's been a wonderful conversation. Gentlemen, Sir Principal, Sir Carey, Mr. Samuels, and Triple C, thank you so much. And Father of Thunder from Saskatchewan, thank you, Sir Edwards. And you tell my good attorney friend that I've learned that phrase, and I am delighted to know that the couple can take thunder and transform it into silent river. They say silent rivers run deep, but deep in godly roots and godly principles. We hope you can join us next week, Sir Jason. But we wrap up here as we say thanks to our viewers and thanks to all the members of the panel. Shall we pray? Our loving Father in heaven, we thank you for your blessings on us as individuals. We thank you for your blessings on Jamaica land we love, and even on Canada and the province where Edwards live. We place before you, God, our desire, even as we start this conversation, our desire is to create a conversation that will lead to a better demonstration of what it means to be real men. May your name be praised as the conversation continues, as we're asking in Jesus' name. So until next week, we'll see you at 6 o'clock right here with Men on Mondays.